Entonces, muy buenos días.
So, good morning. The Colombian American Chamber of Commerce in Miami and Confecamaras are offering you the most warm of welcome to this panel, Business Environment between Colombia and USA. We want to greet Dr. Julian Dominguez Rivera, the President of Confecamaras and the National Trade Union Congress, who will be moderating this meeting. We also want to take the opportunity to greet Dr. Rosmery Quintero, the President of the Colombian Association of Startups, Small and Mid-Sized Companies, Acopi, Dr. Javier Diaz Molina, who is the president of the National Association of International Training, Analdex, and Dr. Augusto Soldano, the president of Colombian Association of Flour Exporters, Asocolflores, who will be with us as part of the panel. To start the event, Dr. Juan Manuel Harris, the president of the Colombian American Chamber of Commerce, would address you. He's been the president of the chamber since 2019. He was the vice minister of mining and energy during the first administration of President Alberto Rivas. Juan Manuel Harris with you. Thank you very much, Jaime, for your intro and for your cooperation as usual in this very important forum where we are meeting with very important people in Colombia and for the Colombian American Chamber of Commerce in the United States that I chair for. It is really very good to be forum the about the business of Dr. Julian de the Guild in Colombia. Then with them special guests, Dr. President of Acopi, Gustavo Flores, Dr. Javier Diaz, the President of Analdex. To them, one most warm welcome and our gratitude for being with us this event that is really a big milestone between the relationships of the Colombian American Chamber of Commerce in Miami and the representative sectors of the private sector in Colombia. I want to say that our organization was founded in six, and for that the commercial relationship between Colombia and the United States will be ensured and promotes particularly development and trading of small and big business people across the range of sectors including logistics, commerce, banks, technology, legal, and some others. The diversity of sectors will enable our chamber to have the effective promotion of competitivity and to tighten social and commercial relationships between affiliates. At the chamber, we're very much committed in empowering the network of our affiliates' contacts and to help improve the image of Colombia, among other things, which has been very much affected by recent events. I want to highlight the presence and special cooperation of Ileana Rose Litning, the Congress lady from the United States. She is from the Kingham's firm in Washington, and Dr. Manny Mencia, who is president of Florida, with whom I share participation, and his council, who with his support and cooperation promote this call when they represent the private sector of the United States and show the great interest for issues related to Colombia. So without further ado, I think it's time to open this forum and good luck. All panelists again, to all of you who are participating. American in Miami, want to thank all the sponsors of Look for in USA Signature Marketing, and as main speakers we have Confecamaras, the National Council, and Asocolflores, Acopi, and Analdex of Colombia. Ladies and gentlemen, up next we'll grant the microphone to Dr. Julian Dominguez, who is the president of Confecamaras and the National Trade Union, who is moderating the whole panel. And now with us we have our panel, Dr. Rosmery Quintero, Dr. Javier Diaz Molina and Dr. Augusto Solano, the president of Asocolflores. All of you are very much welcome. Dr. Dominguez, the floor is yours. Thank you, Jaime. Thank you so much for your contribution in the moderation of this forum. And to me, it's an honor to be able to participate in this important initiative, which with all the enthusiasm that was shared to me through Eduardo Castro and Juan Manuel Harris, we took it because undoubtedly to be able to achieve that, a country can become, can expand its borders and reach that old dream of Colombia to become a productively efficient country to reach other destinations is what it must really concern all of us as part of these business initiatives. So that's why I want to greet all of them and all the members of the board of the Colombian American Chamber of Commerce to Miami. And I also want to greet my colleagues in the panel, Dr. Rosemary Quintero, Dr. Javier Diaz, Dr. Augusto Solano, each of them also with a lot of enthusiasm having accepted this invitation, and with that same enthusiasm they have a lot to share with us because there's certainly great business leaders that from the National Union Congress they can help consolidate this private agenda. The 29 companies that are part of the National Trade Union Congress that are pretty much more than the 90% of the national PIB in Colombia. So with that in mind, I want to greet Dr. Eliana Ross Letinem, who is with us, and it is a great honor to share with her and for her to tell us some words today with Manimancia, as president of the commercial part of the state of the Florida. So as you see, table is served, and this is very important, but it's key for our guests who are here to share these conversations with us that will certainly prove to be key, particularly because the world is having an important contraction at this time where commerce is main affected. This contraction is happening because countries privilege their local production, and therefore the international trade becomes scarce. And also, with that in mind, to mention that last year the economy was contracted in 3.3% according to the International um, Monetary Fund. Commerce also contracted 3.5% according to the International Commerce Organization, and employment was reduced to 5%. Now, although these numbers are different, we can mention that 114 million employments were lost according to the surveys of last year. And the most important thing is that today, 3 million lives have been lost in the world, which is the most important number to mention. Having said that, Colombia had a contraction of its GDP within 15%, which is probably the biggest ever from the crisis of 2008 and centennial crisis in the world. And certainly, the impact on employment has been brutal. Between April and May, we lost about 5 million employments. They've been recovering. Resilience, business resilience here has been key. Being recovered about 1,200,000 employments, but we still record a deficit of employment, which is quite high. And that's our main concern as a business sector. So from there on, countries have been creating recovery plans, and an example of is what happens in the United States, where President Biden proposed to improve the world economy with a plan of more than $2 billion. pesos, which is going to bring more North Americans work together in the construction of infrastructure as a roads, climate change, and to promote services as senior citizens care. And that is something that may bring more than 3,000 monthly dollars for each family as a key transference. And in Colombia, President Ivan Duque has given a big call in trying to preserve the rhythm of subsidiarity, which would mean solidarity income with projects of maintenance of subsidy for employment, credit warranties from the government. And in that sense, there's a big step to take. The National Work Trade Union, with its 29 guilds, aimed to a reactivation plan that was submitted to the president last year by December, and that it was incorporated in an economic reactivation plan that was issued at the beginning of this year. So there is a great convergence, all these public and private partnerships that should take us to generate these opportunities. And the roads to work upon are those that you have to work with when there's this deep crisis with infrastructure projects that are very important, like the dragging, the access channels for the ports, the improvement of existing roads, a system that has been called fifth generation for infrastructure and concessions that estimated at 49.2 billion of pesos, with more than 20 key projects for the country. So then the idea is to be able to link sectors as construction industry, agriculture, infrastructure, software, and others that have been recovering their employment. An example of this recovery is that between January and March 2021, 96,431 productive units were created. In other words, they were incorporated into business tissue. And that is about 9.5% more than last year's. But the important part here is that we have been working for 3 quarters with the dynamics of the business creation, recording this behavior. Now, what kind of activities are the ones that have the most reach? Certainly, commercial areas with the most increase in the creation of companies, and 27%, and the second will be the industrial sector with a 17% in the business creation. Now, what are we bringing on the table to preserve this business rhythm with two purposes: for the companies to grow so that they can grow in actual terms above inflation, and on the other hand, for them to last. And that is the purpose on which we are working for, with the intention to bring this Colombian economy grow in 5%. What is going against it?
Cierres que se están
Well, we
haciendo.
have the closings, the strikes because of the pandemics. We are clearly talking about keeping open economy to be able to survive with it, with all the good sanitary practices, to be able to coexist with the open economic activity, which is very complex because the instinctive the trend is to close all the commercial places, and it's been like 3-4 weekends that the places are closed, and the other one is to keep the rhythm of governmental help. The vaccination plans, in the National Congress, we've been trying to create this and promote this to be able to densify vaccination and to be able to achieve the herd immunity faster. And currently, we are very much into being able to achieve a tributary reform to be fixed into the size that economy can preserve and keep, so that we can keep the credit qualification, because we can see that there are losses in that area, to keep assistance to the least favored, and also to guarantee fiscal stability for the country. So let's say that we're working in all these matters, trying to work shoulder to shoulder on our directive table, that Rosemary Quintero belongs to as a vice president. Is our two very important ladies part of this board, Dr. Rosemary Quintero and Dr. Sandra Forero from Camacol. And so, with that in mind, I wanted to set you on where we are. Where we really want is to promote the new commercial dynamics, and for that, we really thank very much the Colombian and American Chamber of Commerce to call us, to involve us in these processes that we believe must be the result of a relationship we've been having for many years now, particularly through Codas, and to have a dynamic relationship with the private sector in Colombia. And having said that, of course, then ladies go first, not only because they're ladies, but because their wisdom and the knowledge of Dr. Rosemary Quintero bring her ahead to be able to respond to the questions we will have next. Dr. Javier Diaz, the president of Analdex, who is a spectacular Colombian leader, also having in his hands this issue of promoting commercial exchange with the world. And Dr. Augusto Solano, whom you very much know as the good man who very much represents the arrival of these wonderful flowers to all the corners of the world, and the spectacular best practices that even the country itself may ignore. So, as I said, table is very well served, and so in consequence, I would like to start by asking Dr. Rosemary Quintero, what would she think is the main challenge and the greatest opportunity in the commercial relationship between Colombia and the United States at 9 years of the TLC? Thank you, Julian, for this space, and to all the organizers and to my colleagues. That first question, after 9 years, I think that the main challenge for the segment that we represent is the cultural aspect, the exporting mentality. In our segment, although we have evolved, we still find the persistence of not having as a priority within strategic plans the rack of organizations, international trading, for instance, among them. And however, we do have to recognize that the small companies that have decided to export have used different free trade agreements, and there is a concentration in Central American countries and a Pacific alliance. However, also in exports toward the United States, we have noticed that growth has gradually grown, very little though, in some sectors with small companies play a key role. And if we talk about challenges, I'd say that the main opportunity, despite the pandemic, is precisely that we have adapted today much more to the using of technologies. This very use of technologies enables us to come closer in our relationships. We just have the example of this particular event, for instance, which we hold online. So today we have a whole lot more opportunity to strengthen links and relationships in a closer way with institutions such as the chamber that play a relevant role added to the institute of each of our countries, which in our case are really doing a great effort for us to have the opportunity as an internationalization with a component of prioritization for our segments, because it is believed to be one that needs the most partnership. There is also an element and with our commerce. So there is a law right now that is being used and enforced, which is the entrepreneurship law, and some differential aspects are regarded there for the treatment of our in the registry, for instance, which is very important for these companies that manufacture food, pharmaceuticals, etc., plays a very important role for us to have different rates today in an entrepreneurship law that is being created as we speak. On the other hand, there's also a relationship between the transformation of global chains where we see that the small company is playing with a little bit of fear and not at the rhythm as the big industry. We find small companies that look into their productive structure and try to find which aspects, products, or parts can they import. They complement this relation with clients that they have in other countries, and they integrate a productive commercial relationship that is completely beneficial for both parties. So I'd say that if we focus on the defocalization of production and create an intercluster articulation as country, Colombia, our segment up to, may utilize at the maximum this FTA that is reaching 9 years now, but that today we have a paved way that we have learned upon and that we most surely achieve more tangible results for our segments. Thank you. Thank you. If you agree to be able to have the answer from, I'll ask the same question to Dr. Javier. And so we cover all the questions. So, Dr. Javier, what we're bringing on the table is what would you believe that is the main challenge and the greatest opportunity regarding this commercial relationship between its way participation? Julian, thank you very much. First of all, I want to thank Dr. Juan Manuel Harris and the Colombian American chapter, Chamber of Commerce, Chapter Miami. It is such a pleasure to be here. And to thank you, Julian, and all my colleagues on the panel, Rosemary and Augusto. Julian, I said that the main challenge that Colombia is facing currently with the United States is to utilize this FTA. We signed that FTA and it was enforced in 2012 after a lot of enduring so many things, but we have not been able to actually utilize it because when it was actually um, effective, we had a lot of Netherlands disease. We did not have a coronavirus disease, but we have a Netherlands disease. And what I mean with that is that it didn't allow export to be profitable. What was profitable was services, the not internationally transactionable goods. So the country started to look within and the development of the financial sector, communications, infrastructure, but not about exports. However, today, the situation is completely different. Yes, we are amidst a pandemic, but we have a very different exchange scenario that helps the Colombian companies to see exports as an alternative that is profitable. However, although we have not been able to actually maximize this FTA and that access, we have taken important steps since 2012 to today. In our exporting basket toward the United States, we have seen 622 new products that we are exporting to the United States. Maybe in still small volumes, we would like for this to be faster, but we have 336 products that correspond the metal mechanic chain. We have 141 new products from the 2012 that have to do with chemical products, 73 in fashion systems, and 72 for food. So, particularly in this food item, I believe Colombia has very good possibilities. The world demands food. The United States is a great food importer. We have been developing our admissibility processes with all phytosanitary protocols that enable us to reach the American market with our fruit, with chuva, with avocado, with passiflora. So there's a series of products that are new, different to coffee, different to flowers. Flowers have a consolidated market, but there are new products. So all this admissibility issue, the phytosanitary protocols are one of the urgent tasks. What are we working with? We're working with red meat. We have the possibility to now export from Colombia. Red meat, which is our country is an aftos-free country. We are exporting to the east, to Asia, we were exporting to the south of the continent, and the United States is our market by excellence. So I believe that the topic with fruit, passiflower, and to be able to get those products over, I think it's a challenge that we're facing currently.
Some people criticize that we haven't taken advantage of the FTA because we used to have a very different balance for Colombia. But we have to see that the trade is dynamic. We used to export coal, and the United States, with their fracking, stopped consuming coal, and then now they are exporting it. So this disappeared from our execution. Oil has dropped its price, and there are some explanations of the balance. But the challenge is how we can have a positive dynamic again through the exporting of our products. And I think that in regards to your question, Julian, that is the greatest challenge, to grow these exportable products, take advantage of the demand of the markets for the products that we already produce, and see what other things we can produce in our country to be taken to that market. Thank you, Julian. Thank you, Javier. That is a message of hope, supported in a dynamic that, as you have stated. I would like now to ask Augusto Solano, who has such an important background in the external sector, and so successful, which is key. How do you see this? What are the challenges and opportunities generated by this commercial relationship after 9 years of the FTA, where Augusto was also an important main character in this process? Thank you, Julian. Kind greetings to the president of the chamber, Juan Manuel Hertz, for Eduardo Castro, ex-president of the chamber, for Julian Dominguez, our president of the group council. Kind greetings for Iliana, those Latinen so close to our affections and the causes of flower growing. Manimencia, and our colleagues from the group council and the panel, Rosemary Quintero, Javier Diaz, Jaime Flores, everyone. Thank you very much for this invitation. I think it's very timely and very important. So as Javier was saying, it was very hard to get to this negotiation. It was many years of negotiation with the United States, and then it took 6 years to be approved by the US Congress. That was the difficult part. And it's really an opportunity to take advantage of it. And we have to keep in mind, in our case, that we sell to 100 countries in the past years, even before the pandemic. The economy in the United States was the strongest one, and we started to focus a little bit more on the United States once again. Right now, more than ever, we have an economy with an income per capita that is much weaker, and the economy of the United States is going to be the strongest one So this is an opportunity, a golden opportunity, to take advantage of this FTA that was actually very hard for us to get. There's admissibility for a lot of agricultural products, but they're already there. Before I talk about challenges and opportunities for the flower sector, I want to put you into context. I think that flower growing is a success case of the commercial relationships between the United States and Colombia. Flower growing was born 55 years ago, inversely to other sectors, exclusively for export. Right now, we are just trying to develop the internal market and to export to the United States. That focus to that market, a study of a final degree process, a project of a student from the University of Colorado, David Shiver. And we have been diversifying, and today we are reaching 100 countries, but 80% of the flowers imported by the United States is Colombian. And depending on the species, if you look for Astromelias chrysanthemus, over 95% are Colombian. And that is purely and freely with competition. And inversely, 80% of the flowers are exported to the United States. We were able to diversify up to 75%, but as I was saying, the past few years, with the economy of the United States being so strong, we concentrated there again. We reached faraway places like Japan, our second market, Russia, Korea, with the FTA, and multiple countries in this dynamic activity of flower growers. So this has been very important, and it's taken many years, where Colombia clearly took advantage of the advantages of APTA and APTEA, and to be able to generate
ese crecimiento, especialmente hacia los
growth, especially towards the United States. The FTA for us was very important to consolidate access, but it did not bring us any financial advantage because we already had a zero duty, and we continue with zero duty. So we depend on the United States and Colombian flowers. What they did in the United States was make this product an affordable luxury. Before, flowers used to be very expensive. Now they are accessible or affordable, and close to 60% of flowers are sold in supermarkets nowadays. We generate 140,000 jobs here in the chain in the United States, 225,000 jobs approximately. And we do this in a socially and environmentally responsible manner. In regards to challenges and opportunities, on the one hand, the main challenge that we have is air transport, air cargo transport, especially in the pandemic. It has been very complicated. In normal times, 50% of cargo travels in passenger airplanes, and the other 50% in cargo planes. Now that for a long time, a lot of passenger flights disappeared, that was stressed. And even though a lot of this cargo disappeared, a new one appeared, like ventilators and masks, and they started pulling the demand from Asia, increasing the prices. For example, we in exports to Australia, we paid $5 to $6 per kilo, and it went up to over $15. It became almost impossible. So that is a main challenge. The reevaluation has the advantage that we tried with maritime transport, and we're doing part of it through maritime transport, but it does not replace the other kind of transport. Right now, we are finishing our peak for Mother's Day. It's a time when over 35 flights leave per day full of flowers to many places in the world, especially to the United States, and they are 747s. They're fully loaded, and it's been very hard because On the other hand, we have the opportunities. The pandemic brought something incredible. We have always wanted to transmit the advantages of flowers, the emotional impact, the harmony, the energy. And it turns out that in the pandemic, people found that. Since people are staying home, the demand has increased a lot in the United States. So we have this limitation
en el transporte para
in
eso.
transportation
Grande.
in comparison to a large demand. What I do think we have to do, and the opportunity there is to do a campaign in that sense and have a marketing order, which is what Americans have, that is placed through the Department of Agriculture, such as avocado has it and milk had it. Remember the got milk? And do promotion, generic promotion. We do not promote only Colombian flowers, but generic flowers, because since we have the greatest piece of the pie, we want the pie to grow. I think I took a little bit longer, but that is to tell you a little bit about the difficulties, the opportunities, and we hope that working hand in hand with American associations that we are very close to, we can have this marketing order and promote flowers so that more Americans, because nowadays only 30% of homes buy flowers, can enjoy this product. There is great potential after this 30%. Thank you, Julian, and I'm sorry for having taken more time. No, Augusto, it was worth it because this success case describes really well what has been achieved and the key factors of this achievement. There is a great benefit of being able to spark feelings associated to the product, and that's the dream of everyone who does marketing in the world. So it's very interesting what you have shared. We have a second element to talk about with our panelists, and it's if they consider that the Colombian productive sector is getting ready to take advantage of the search that the United States is doing to reduce the dependence from China in their supply chain for production and consumption. So I would ask our dear Rosemary to start with her response. Thank you, Julian. During the pandemic, we have seen a series of difficulties precisely because of that dependence on raw materials from China. In the metal mechanics sector, which is a sector that has a significant case of SMEs, we have had issues with long or flat steel in the plastic sector, regardless of the effort that Ecopetrol is doing. Until the technical stop, it was delayed, and this has not been enough to cover the needs of the business sector. And if we talk about the fashion sector, like Javier was saying, which is one of the diversifications of the basic of the exporting products that is very important in trade with the United States, we can say that it's the sector where we have seen the most how those imports, these products that come in at very, very low prices, compete with national production. In this order of ideas, in the SMEs segment, there is an aspect that is very relevant, and it's the scale, the productive scale, how we are able to overcome this weakness that we have because it's not in an enough scale to allow us a greater margin for a better price. It's just through associations. These associations that today have been better understood through the cluster network that we have in the country, and that Dr. Julian precisely is a great responsible of this network because it brings the chambers of commerce in our country together. They are leading different clusters. Just by locating this structure that represents 92 business groups with an approximate concentration of 13,000 companies, I think that there is where we have the great opportunity, and among others, it is able to reach an element that I have always been very critical of, and it's the regions, because many of the policies that are determined in these treaties, since there's a great concentration in the capital, in the regions, the benefits are very slow or have greater difficulty in arriving. So through this cluster network, the regions have been able to have greater protagonism because it's from the regions that they compete. There's a lot of things to be done yet, of course, but however, there's an element that represents a very important role that shows that the productive sector is getting ready, and it's how am I able to have in my productive structure products that have an added value, that are able to, regardless of the circumstances, be competitive. And these products today are being achieved thanks to the different programs of innovation, of science, where the royalties scheme that the country has with a better distribution in the regions has allowed us to have. And I want to close this question, Dr. Julian, just ratifying what Dr. Solano said. I had the opportunity this week to get to know this flower, and I didn't know it. And I have been getting to know flowers because I'm working from home. So thank you. So look there, here's a sample of what I was saying. Yes, of course, buy flowers. I don't have them because we export all of them. You don't even have enough for a vase at your home. Yes, of course, that's great. Okay, I wanted to ask Javier to tell us how he sees this preparation of the productive sector, if it's happening, to be able to take advantage of the substitutions of value chains, exports from China, and being able to do this from the United States. I would start, Julian, before going into this question. I would start by pointing out that the United States went into a commercial conflict with China way before the pandemic with the Trump administration. There were rates, tariffs, barriers, and that broke these global value chains, specifically the chain that existed between the United States and China. The pandemic comes and ends up breaking all of the distribution chains. So what's next? What we're seeing is that the recomposition is happening around regional chains, and the commercial conflict between the United States and China will not, or does not, disappear with the new administration. The conflict continues, but the way of administering it is different. President Biden is not doing what the previous administration did, of putting barriers and having direct conflict. He's looking for allies. He's looking for allies to be able to face China commercially. So, with the conversation of the Prime Minister of Canada, we could clearly see that Canada was going to be an ally of the United States with Mexico, and they're looking for allies in Europe in how to face China commercially. So the first question that we ask ourselves is, so how is Colombia going to be playing there? I think that our administration should be looking at this to see how we can play as allies of the United States in front of China at the OMC. How to recompose it, how to transform it so that it becomes, once again, the multilateral mechanism for conflict resolution. But meanwhile, I was saying regional value chains are being recomposed. And our geographic proximity to the United States tells us that we have to be in that regional value chain with the United States. So how to take advantage of this new opportunity, even to attract companies that can be located in Colombia to export to the United States? Because now these productions that used to be done in China are looking for geographic proximity, not having these long times that they used to have before. Colombia, I think, has mechanisms that it has been developing to attract investment. One, free trade mechanisms with a tax rate that is competitive with the other countries in the region, 20% rate compared to 31, 33% rates in the National Customs Territory. So a competitive tax rate, VAT competitive rate, because it's only paid in the import, not on the export, and a special customs situation that allows me to bring merchandise, supplies, raw materials to this area. I can produce it here and go out to a foreign country, and I have no taxes. If I want to go into Colombian territory, then I pay the normal fees. So I think we have a series of mechanisms that make it attractive for companies to locate in Colombia to be able to export to the United States. Since the FTA started, 2051, new companies have appeared here exporting to the United States. What we want to see is how to make many more other companies, being national or international companies that locate here, can export to the United States in agricultural products, in food products, in manufacturing. We had already said this. With windows, metal mechanics, chemical products, in garments, there's new products, control garments like Spanx. There's a series of things that are being exported. We're seeing how to take advantage of the opportunities, but we need to attract much more investment as anchor companies to export to the United States. And I think that the circumstances are given for us to be able to do this. Thank you, Julian. It is a very complete answer, dear Javier. Augusto, what do you think about this topic, about the possibility of taking advantage of relocations of companies that locate from China to be able to export to the United States from Colombia? Thank you, Julian. So in our case, this does not apply very directly because flowers from China don't arrive at the United States, fortunately. The only thing that we need to keep in mind is, I would say, is to be careful because Colombia has 8,000 hectares and we're the second worldwide exporter of flowers after the Netherlands. And we estimate that China has 128,000 hectares in flowers. The thing is that first, they use them all. And second, they don't have quality for export and they're just lazy to do the export processes and the phytosanitary requirements that are very complex. We are nowadays the main suppliers for flowers for Japan, and China, being right next to Japan, does not import much. That's a merit of the Colombian flower growers. And so what I say is that we have to be careful and see what happens if they want to export. The relationships are not very good, so I don't think there's a chance. The only thing that I can think about is that flower growing in the United States, we have additionally the hard goods, and it's the flower vases, all the tapes, the bows, and all the things that come from China. So this can be an idea for Rosemary's affiliates to maybe look through this to see, because I think there can be potential in a flower growing activity to replace Chinese production. Thank you, Augusto. It's great, this integration of the chain with the complementary products. Now let's go to a third round of questions. Let's see if we can do them maybe a little bit shorter to see if we can talk about the 4 aspects that we have planned for today. One important aspect is what are the sectors where the Colombian companies consider that they could have these strengths to replace these imports. We talk about China because it's a great supplier of the world, but they can have other origins with Colombian products and services. Augusto was saying something about this already, but I think it's worth it to see if other opportunities are identified. So, Rosemary, please, if you can help us with your answer. Yes, we see a great opportunity, as I was mentioning, in metal mechanics. But when I talk about metal mechanics, I don't mean only finished products, because I think an important role there and in the FTAs is important also there, and it's the value added services. The value added services, everything related to engineering. There's a great representation of SMEs that today have a great level, a great human capital that we must also mention. We have seen how these FTAs, regardless of the criticisms, if we look at the aspects that add when a relationship is complemented and the demand there, the technical demand, one way or another, transforms the productive structure of the companies. On the other hand, in the 4.0 industry, where we feel that it's something that can be completely transversal, because many times we stay in this era that is exclusive for certain sectors. But when we're talking about automation, when we're talking about the productive capacity that has limitations, even in the machinery that we have, that is maybe a little bit obsolete in one sectors more than others, we also have this great opportunity of how we, through automation or through putting in very novel components, we can be very more productive. We can be much more productive and much more profitable and integrate them better. I think that from the sectors that we see the greatest opportunity is this one, and of course everything related to a non-perishable food. Colombia has evolved a lot in regards to this kind of food and packaging that used to be a huge difficulty for our country. I think we have already advanced a lot here. And I think the pandemic in packaging has put us in a very different situation that we're taking advantage of as much as possible. Thank you, Rosemary. Javier, these sectors that can have potential, that can make this dream come true of substituting export raw materials to the United States from China, from other countries. How do you see this? Julian, I would say that more than the ones that have already been mentioned and Rosemary has mentioned, I think there's a possibility in services, in BPO, in outsourcing. I mean, you can take with the international accounting standards, you can do this anywhere in the world. So all of this outsourcing parts, call centers, they all have great possibilities of developing here in Colombia. We have seen how Mediterranean cities like Bogota have been developing great call centers to tend to different countries. And I think this is one of the sectors that has potential. The medical area, medical tourism also has great possibilities. Colombia has a series of institutions that are certified by the Joint Commission. You know that having the certification of the Joint Commission is a key element to say, I have a top certification internationally. So dental services, transplants, aesthetic surgery, ophthalmic. We have in the medical area a series of services in Colombia that Colombia can increase their exports and looking towards the market of the United States. And I think there's great potential here. Energy. Colombia is a clean energy producer, but we're starting to develop alternative energies, everything related to solar, wind. I think that there's also possibilities. We are exporters in the region, but I think that it's a sector that with foreign investment could also have important development. And I repeat, everything related to the agro industry and food. I think this is a topic where Colombia undoubtedly has possibilities. Colombia is one of the 6 countries in the world that can expand its agricultural frontier to be able to produce food. So I think that there I see great opportunities. How interesting. I would ask Augusto from his own perspective, but also from what he can see holistically on potential exporters, what kind of substitutions could be made in these value chains based on Colombian platforms? On the one hand, I think that Colombia has to continue with its effort in many agricultural products that are only having admissibility until now, and there's great potential. And my comment is a little bit more general. I think what we have to do is focus. The worst thing that we can do is try to do everything, a little bit here and a little bit there, and I want to do this and I want to do that, and then at the end we don't do anything. We have to have scale, specialize, doing a clusters, choosing a few things, because the more we try to do, the less we achieve. We know that, but we need to put this in practice. That's my comment. Let's choose a few things. Which ones? I don't know. We have to look at them. We will do the analysis, but this is what we have to do. I think that the avocados have been doing things well, maybe a little bit more similar to us. They're business people. Many of them are the same, and they have an interesting scheme. We have shared a lot of ourselves with them, and that's my suggestion. Very few things, focused, planned, and try to do this, and that's how other countries have done it, and they have become very strong. New Zealand with kiwi, people from the Netherlands. That's what I think. The worst thing is to spray and try to do everything. That's my comment, Julian. Thank you.
So that's very important. That would really be the key condition, the focus of the origin and destination markets, and to be able to work like within that giant market. And when they tell you what you have to do is try and find by regions and by country what is the specialty for that particular cluster. And so probably the last thing then that we want now from you, dear members of the panel, is for you to tell us what do you think that it could be done by the Colombian American Chamber of Commerce in Miami to enable the commercial relationship between Colombia and the United States. So that would be ideas or an actual concrete message that we could work with the midterm, so that the things that are being suggested in this forum that are present here could be dynamic issues that could give more flow to this situation. So Rosemary, your final message on what do you think it could be done? Well, first of all, the Chamber of Commerce in Miami is quite strategic for our country, and we see it from the location standpoint. As a country like the United States, that is already a benefit, a plus. And the issue of relationship, to bringing business people closer in meetings where we could integrate, get to know further, to like start with that, to focus, and one of them could be the most relevant clusters, let's say, that we could promote those meetings. And there's a third aspect, I'd say, that goes by the hand with what it has to do with the development of vendors and providers, because one could be a differentiating aspect. How can we integrate from the very development to generate or to help identify which are those capabilities that we still need to have a better commercial relationship? Thank you, Rosemary. Javier, what would you tell us about it? Well, Julian, I think that the help of the chamber can come from information and everything that has to do with commercial opportunities, technical standards, but there is a trading channel that is a novelty and that is growing amazingly, which is the electronic commerce. And I think that the small companies in Colombia that really reach the consumer as a final user to be able to sell their products in smaller volumes, because if I go to the American chains market, there's companies that really just dominate the whole thing, but the small commerce is then not given as much opportunity. So the integration of commercial opportunities in that point is very interesting, and I think that the chamber can help us a lot on that. Wonderful. And I would then ask Augusto to send us that last message on opportunities. Well, and I think it's great that we're able to have a chamber of commerce in Miami that is as consolidated and with people that are so capable and involved and enthusiastic. And Miami is like Latin America's New York, that is so loved and so close to the heart of many that we always have to touch base there. And I believe that in this effort, many business people have as key external item to face the cultural challenges of diverse ways. So, if the Chamber of Commerce can help us have a contact point to have a client or to have a space there, that can really become a modest income source of the Chamber as well. So, I think that Pro Colombia right there has that possibility, and now the team together with Ricardo Pedrosa and Claudia Candela, which is wonderful. But I think it can be a complementary topic, absolutely. And I think that it gives the business person who is new in that market a breathe, a new responsibility. There's a lot to be done. And obviously, as Rosemary said and Javier had said, there's still information and technology and things like that. So I do think that that would be a plus to have the company working in that way over there. Thank you. Okay, thank you again. I want to thank all our business leaders. It has been quite illustrative.
Oportunidades, los retos, las ventajas, los nichos, y en ese sentido, pues es
All the
fundamental.
topics, the advantages, the clusters that you've mentioned, and I think it's key, and we feel very satisfied with this exercise. And so, with my gratitude, I hand the mic back to Jaime Flores during this important event. Thank you very much, Dr. Julian Dominguez Rivera, and we also want to thank Dr. Rosemary Quintero, Dr. Javier Diaz Molina, and Dr. Augusto Solano for your valuable input and your very educational participation. So, to enrich this event further, we have the intervention of our forever Congress lady, Ms. Ileana Rose Lettinger. She is from Cuba, and she served the Congress for the Florida state during almost 3 decades on issues of external politics and the defense
La
of
firma.
democracy. And she's now a member of Buckingham in Washington, the capital of the United States. Congress lady, is always a pleasure to speak to you. Thank you so much, Jaime. I love you. I respect you, admire you, and I miss you. I hope we are able to meet soon, God willing. So to me, it's quite meaningful to have the opportunity to partake from this forum that was put together by my friends from the Colombian American Chamber of Commerce, to whom I really specially thank, and with whom I have links of friendship and collaboration for many years. So, allow me to give my personal perception regarding commercial relationship with the United States, highlighting strategic events such as this one that serve to call the attention of the private sector of both countries and to bring their relationships closer in a more active and beneficial way for both parties. Within the new dynamic of commercial relationships, bilateral relationships, that is, it is important to highlight the signing of the framework agreement through which the Bilateral Commerce and Investment Commission was created. The FTA means to Colombia an access to the American market with a 0% tariff and more or less 10,634 positions. And I believe this agreement has been beneficial for companies of the private sector in Colombia in a very positive way, although it is something they have to take more participative posture. And we see in Colombia the creation of new infrastructure programs such as 5G that will enable to visit projects that are very important, fluvial, airport, uh, railroads that will allow companies and investors in America to establish new relationships with Colombia in different levels of interaction at a corporate level. Within the new environment for commerce and bilateral investment, stimulate to the constitution of conjoined companies could be stimulated as well to promote production generated by preferential broadened market and to surely replace imports from the United States with countries that are even farther. So, with that in mind, the new administration reveals its ambitious plan of $2.3 billion to redesign the country's infrastructure throughout the next 8 years, from to which it will be evident that it will be effective this business model. And currently, according to the figures, there's about 500 American companies installed in Colombia. But the future is showing us that it will be an even bigger number. And thanks to events such as this one from the Chamber that will promote the closeness of our companies and business people. Such initiatives as this one, the Colombian Chamber of Commerce and the American Chamber of Commerce, to work as an executive intermediary, will help to identify and promote events that call the companies from here and from over there to locating areas for technical and consulting support, the discussion of perspectives, um, the identification of projects and solutions, and to call specialists and bring in their solutions to solve all the main obstacles for commerce and investment. So I want to thank my great friends in Colombian American Chamber of Commerce for this opportunity, and I'll just say some words in English.
To participate in this forum organized by my friends in the Colombian American Chamber of Commerce. I thank them in a very special way and with whom I have been linked with friendship and collaboration for decades. Allow me to express my personal views and mention Colombia's commercial relationship with the United States, highlighting strategic events such as this one that serve to attract the attention of the private sector of both of our countries and thus strengthen our relations in a more active way and for the common benefit. Within the new dynamics of bilateral trade relations, it is worth mentioning the signing of the Framework Agreement through which the Bilateral Trade and Investment Commission was created. The FTA means for Colombia access to U.S. markets with 0% tariff for approximately 10,634 tariff positions. And I'm sure that this agreement has actually benefited Colombian private sector companies already in a very positive way. We see in Colombia the creation of a new infrastructure program such as 5G, where tenders will begin in 2021 to include river, airport, and rail projects that will allow U.S. companies and investors to establish new relations with Colombia at different levels of business interaction. And within the new climate for trade and bilateral investment, it will be possible to take advantage of the stimulus to the constitution of joint ventures, to take advantage of the growth in production generated by the expanded preferential market, and surely replace the imports of the United States with even more distant countries. And in that vein, the new administration announces an ambitious $2.3 trillion plan to redesign the country's infrastructure over the next 8 years, where the business model I discussed previously could be in force. At present, according to the figures in Colombia, there are around 500 companies of the United States installed there. But the future will show an even greater number than that, thanks to events such as this one that bring our companies and our entrepreneurs together. Initiatives like this of the Colombian American Chamber of Commerce, it will act as an executive mediator for the private sector to identify and sponsor events that summon companies from here and there, locating the areas of technical and consultative support, the discussion of perspectives, of projects, the identification of solutions, calling on specialists to provide solutions to solve the main obstacles to trade and investment. So I give my heartiest thanks to my dear friends of the Colombian American Chamber of Commerce for this great opportunity, and thank you to the panelists that appeared before us. That was a wonderful presentation. May it be one of many more to come. Así que, don Jaime, muchísimas gracias.
So, Jaime, thank you very much to you and all the panel members, and my friend Armando Jose Eduardo and everybody. Thank you very much for this opportunity. And now, my friend Money.
Jaime, estás en mute.
Jaime, estás en mute.
Lo siento mucho, perdón. Muchas gracias, congresista.
Okay, so thank you very much, Congress Lady Eliana Ros-Lehtinen. And as you said, yes, it is now Manny Mencia's turn, our Senior Vice President of the Unit of International Business and Commerce Enterprise Florida, which is a commercial governmental association with nonprofit organization that aims to guide the development of economy in Florida. Manny Mencia with you. Thank you, Jaime. Let me start by congratulating the Colombian American Chamber of Commerce, Dr. Harris, and you, Jaime, for bringing us into this program that has also brought some of the main business leaders in Colombia representing the most important guilds in the country. What an excellent program, and it is also an honor to share mic with Congress Lady Eliana Ros-Lehtinen. I certainly believe that Eliana has been one of the most important Latino leaders in Florida, and I feel honored about sharing this microphone with her. And my position, I pretty much represent and manage all programs of international trading and foreign attraction investment to Florida programs. And I share with Eliana and with the Chamber that there is a great opportunity for Colombia to work and to use Florida as a platform for the incoming of its products into the United States, and to take advantage of the FTA that we have to be able to increase further this commercial relationship that we have, to give a perspective even with the pandemics. So like with what happened last year between Florida and Colombia, is that it went beyond the $200 million, and it's been very, very well balanced. This included $300,000 million of Colombian products, and very importantly, many of these products were non-traditional products, not only oil, and not only things like flowers and precious metals, but also things such as fish, uh, resistant implant, and stuff like that. And I believe that working together, we can certainly empower this relationship and to broaden it, extending it toward the years that come. For us, Colombia is also a great market for technology, and Florida is also a great market for transportation equipment and other things we sell. Colombia is one of our main markets in Florida, and I believe that, like Americans said, they say over here, the bellwether. That means the hint, and I've always said that Colombia is one of those markets that can tell us, that can suggest us how the relationship is. And I think that about 35% of everything that we do bilaterally between Colombia and Florida, it's to the United States, enters through Florida. Although such a big amount is one that we still have a lot to do with. I was very delighted to hear about the opportunities Colombia has in China. I share that. I believe there is a great opportunity to extract a lot. All these companies that want to diversify in China. Here in the United States, we talk about reshoring, which means bring in the companies of the United States that went to China back to the United States. I honestly think that what's going to happen is nearshoring, that many of these companies are actually going to come back to the hemisphere, but will be replaced in neighboring countries. And so to use those countries to bring their central focus to the United States, I certainly believe that Florida is the ideal entry port for the Colombian companies, and it would be very important opportunity for us to work together, Florida and Colombia, in a partnership to bring these companies to the West Hemisphere. And my opinion is that if there is a benefit Colombia, there is a benefit for Florida. We have a relationship that is of mutual benefit then, and I want to thank the Chamber for having appointed this meeting and to give us the opportunity to hear these experts that have told us about the status of Colombian economy, and to give us the opportunity to know them and to probably delve further into this relationship for the future. Thank you very much. And the Organization of Economic Development of Enterprise Florida is at your service. Thank you. Thank you very much, Manny Mencia, Senior Vice President from Enterprise Florida. Sadly, due to issues of time, we won't be able to include questions and answers. However, the Chamber of Commerce is committed to respond to this question, sending them by email to all those that are interested in formulating these questions via chat. Now we want to offer a special recognition to our sponsors in this meeting: Alberto Ibarra PA, Avianca, Bank United, Constructora Concreto, Cotecmar, Da Vivienda, IF International Logistics, Cheers USA, Pro Solutions, Miami Business Technological University, Miami-Dade Board of County Commissioners, International Trade Commission, Consortium, Northern Trust, Pay-to-Go, Port Miami, Pro Salud, Sede Entrega, Sun Power Contractors, Technoglass, Ultrabox, USA Signature Group, Verfone, and Viventa. And to close our meeting today, we want to offer the mic to Dr. Humana Garza, President of the Colombian Chamber of Commerce, an American Chamber of Commerce in Miami. Thank you, Jaime, for the guidance of this forum in such a focused way. And of course, Our gratitude to our panel members and Dr. Eliana Quintero from Acopi, Dr. Augusto Solano, President of Asocolflores, Dr. Javier Diaz from Analdex, whom we met in other forums. Thank you so much. And of course, to our Dr. Julian Dominguez for his dynamic and very good direction of the forum. It has been very interesting and certainly, and we want to thank very much all the representatives here in Florida, Liana Rose Letning, Manny Mencia, who with their participation were able to illustrate and gather the ideas that we wanted to discuss. And in an extended way, we wanted to analyze the different points, but it would be impossible to do it in short times. But we are very much challenged with the different aspects and the questions formulated by Dr. Dominguez that were very, very much on the tip. The FTA is also interesting. I was also part of the teams that were promoting the approval and the promotion for the encouraging for the Colombian companies to participate more. But I think that, as Dr. Javier Diaz said, it was just a matter of utilizing. I had not heard about that Netherlands disease thing, but I think it was very interesting. What you said at the end, the need to import and to bring it to bring the countries to export. I think that what you said with the flowers, Dr. Sona, was also very interesting. It's worth imitating. I think the exporters in Colombia would learn a lot following your examples, and I'm sure that you're willing to corroborate with that. And I think Dr. Rosemary Quintero has has shown their great potential to encourage the great industrials. I believe among we are there are many countries that it's really worth a while to work with. So it would be absolutely interesting. Liana had mentioned it is impossible to time restrictions, but we do have a few minutes to tell that to the panel. We're very grateful for their input and their enthusiasm that our chamber wants to cordially invite you. And Jaime, before I continue with the closure, if you're able to read the certification, and of course their names to not extend this closing. So I'll let you with this. Absolutely. The Colombian American Chamber of Commerce is honored to distinct Dr. Julian Ramirez, President of Confecamaras, and Dr. Rosemary Quintero, President of Acopi in Colombia, Dr. Javier Diaz, the President of Analdex, Dr. Augusto Solano, President of Asocolflores, the Congress lady, Eliana Rosletinen, the acting power of Florida, Manny Mencia, Senior Vice President of Enterprise Florida as ex-official members, and in behalf of the Board of Directors and its members, signed by Juan Manuel Harris, President, April 30th, 2021. Perfect, Jaime. Thank you very much. And this membership, more than ex-official, are very important for us at the Chamber to have you, honorable panel members, as members of our Chamber. And as said, part of this forum and the question related by Dr. Dominguez, our Chamber doesn't only have the best wishes to bring into this bilateral exchange of commercial relationships, but also we have the obligation to partake from it. So most surely with their participation, we'd be able to go even beyond. And to close, it would be unfair to thank all our sponsors that we have this forum. The member board of directors, and of course to all of you for your participation, or the IMOcast, who were actually the ones helping us with the contacts and the ideas for this meeting. and very especially to Margarita Luzada, who was our brilliant operative coordinator, and in Colombia to Paula Marcela Barrera and Jessica Celos from Confecamaras. There will be a whole lot more people I would like to thank too, but because of time constraints, we are not able to. And so it would be more than unfair not to mention our Jaime Flores, our host. Last but not least, as I said, and well, I think that it's not a secret to say that Jaime would start a new position in this country, and so we want to take the opportunity to wish you the best luck in the world. I know that you will make us look very good, all of us Colombians. So, to all of you who work so much with this event, and all of you who are listening to us, we want to be able to see you. Hope to see you soon in further events that the chamber will be organizing to achieve these objectives we've marked. Thank you very much, and have a good afternoon. And we see you very soon. Thank you very much. Very honored with the distinction. Thank you. Thanks, everybody. Also very honored with that distinction. And thanks again.